Hello everybody, this is Stephanie, here with another video. So I've got this spring flower buds necklace out just because I like to play with it. I think it's more fun to play with than wear. So anyway, I put the pearls on it and I wanted you to see that. So that's that. So what we've done now is I thought, here's spring flower buds bracelet. I thought, why not do a double buds? So here we go. Here's the double buds. This one is, I just love this one. All these pretty sort of charcoaly, smoky color crystals and beads and pearls. And then we've got this one, which you may have seen on my Facebook page. This is pretty too. The blue isn't quite that bright in the bracelet. It's much more subdued, but it's still very pretty. So I thought we'd double the bracelet. Why not? So let's see how it looks. That's how it's going to look on the wrist. There you go. All right, pretty. I figure, well, if one is nice, then why not double? Double the fun. So I'm going to clasp this, and I just want to show you how that looks when it's clasped. Get on my hand here a little bit. I'm going to make this intro very short so that we can get started. Okay, so that's double buds. So that's what we're going to do. So what you're going to need for double buds is you're going to need some 4mm fire polish beads. And I will write the names of everything in the description box below so that you'll have everything you need. All you have to do is look at that description box. You'll need some O beads. You'll need two 8mm crystals or stones or whatever it is you want to put on your clasp. I put the crystals on my clasp. Okay, you need some 15O seed beads, minor hematite. You need some 11O seed beads, minor hematite. You need some 3mm fire polish, again minor hematite, and you need some 4mm pearls. And these materials are what's in this bracelet. Okay, so I'm going to put that in the description box, and I'm also going to put in the description box the materials for this one as well. Okay, so you'll have the materials for both. All right, so let's get started on our double buds. Okay, we're back. Now I've threaded a size 10 beading needle with fireline. Now I've used a short piece because I want to stay in frame. I've been getting some comments about that lately, and believe me, I don't blame you. So I would suggest that if you can do 2 arm spans of fireline without feeling like you're getting it all tangled, do that. It would be great to get the entire right angle weave part done without having to add thread. But if you do, it's not a big deal. I think I added thread to this a couple of times because I didn't want to use a whole length. But if you're comfortable with a couple of wingspans, then go ahead. So what we're going to do is we're going to stay, you see that I put my little pin right there so that I can always look at that and make sure I'm at least somewhere in frame. Okay, so let's put on an O, a 6O, 6mm. All right, let's try that again. An O, a 4mm, an O, a 4mm fire polish, an O, a 4mm fire polish, I'm having trouble talking, an O, and a 4mm fire polish. So this is what you have on your needle. You have 4 fire polish, 4 O's. Take that, drop it down to your stop bead. Oh, I don't know, did I tell you I put a stop bead on there? I put a stop bead on there. Now, what? Just one other thing. If you want to leave a long tail so that you can, put your clasp on as you go, you can do that. If not, you can always put it on after. I mean, I'm sort of becoming an advocate of putting the clasp on after because, if something breaks, then I don't like those shadows. If something breaks, then you have your bracelet and you can just put another clasp on it. So I'm trying to get rid of my shadows right now. So that's on your needle. You're going to turn it into a little box. So go back up through all your beads. This is right angle weave with the O beads. Now if they fall, don't worry about it. Just make sure you turn that into a box. Keep going around. We're going to reinforce each box as we go. So here's where my tail is coming out of. I'm going to keep going past my tail to really get it tight. I'm going to go past this O bead. I'm going to come out that 4mm. Okay? So this looks familiar. It should look familiar if you've done the, single flower buds. Okay, so we've got our 4 O beads, our 4mm crystals. Okay, so now we're going to take an O bead, 4mm crystal, O bead, fire polish, it's the same thing. 4mm fire polish, O bead, 4mm fire polish, and an O. So we have 4 O's and 3 4mm crystals, because you're going to attach it to this box, right? So the first box has 4. You're going to use this box. They're going to share this bead. Every row is going to share the bead that's on the side. So come around and down that bead, pull. See, you have 2 boxes. Now I want you to just sew around again. Keep sewing around. You can move it around as you, don't forget to go through the O's. You can move it around a little bit to make it easier to hold. Don't forget to go through those O beads. The beads that you just put on, go through the beads that the bead that their 2 boxes are sharing. Don't forget that O bead. It's very important. Sometimes you can tack down an O bead without realizing it, and while it's not the end of the world, it's probably not, it's better not to do that. Okay, so here are my 2 boxes. Okay, so I'll hold them up. I have 2 boxes. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to take an O, 4mm, an O, 4mm, an O, 4mm, whoops, and an O. So I have 4 O's and 3 4mm. Okay, and I'm sorry about the shadows. It's night. Whenever I film at night, there are a lot of shadows. I should do during the day. I just don't always have the time. So you're going to see where the thread is coming out over here? You're going to go around, sort of like chasing your thread. Use that. Attach it to that bead on the side, and there you have another box. Okay, reinforce your box. Go through all your beads. Don't forget the O's. Don't forget the one that you're sharing. Go through the, am I in? Yes, I am. Okay. Go through the O and the 4mm, come out that 4mm on the side. So you see what you're doing? For those of you who haven't done this before, you're just making these little boxes, okay? They're all sitting next to each other. So you're going to continue in that manner, okay, till you get to the length of your bracelet minus your clasp size. So I'm going to see if I can find, maybe I can get in my drawer and get my ruler. My camera is pretty much attached to my drawer at the moment. Okay, so let's just say if you were a size 7 bracelet, I would make it, leave an inch. Make it 6 inches. And we'll play with it a little bit. You'll put it around your wrist when you get to the end. So just keep doing this. Keep making those boxes over and over again. If you want, I'll do one more. I'll just go, just for those of you who haven't done it before. So an O, 4mm, an O, 4mm, an O, 4, come here you, 4mm, and an O. So you have 4 O's, 3 4mm. You're going up through the side of that box, and you're going to go around, and you're going to pull it through. So then I just flip mine around because it's easier to sew through the beads. But however it is easiest for you. Sometimes it gets caught on your beads, so just pull it out. Okay, so just go around in a circle. You're going to reinforce. Go down. Come on, you. Okay, go down. That's holding the two boxes. Go through there. Go through the O. Come out the 4mm. So now you have 4 boxes. Okay? So there you have it. Keep going. Okay, we're back. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make the turn for our second row of right angle weave. So we're coming out of, actually I went a little further, I want you to see this part. So this is your finished first row. And you can embellish that and make that a single, but I think that we should have fun and do the double. Alright, so I pick it up like this. I want, alright, that's distracting. Alright, I want to come around and make a row down this way. So in order to do that, I have to get my needle in position. I'm going to go through this O and this 4mm. And come around. I'm going to put an O, a 4mm, an O, a 4mm, an O, a 4mm, and an O. So that's pretty much what we've been doing. So it's almost like you're going, you actually can make a big frame by going that way. So I'm coming out of this bead here. See the thread coming out there? I'm just going to go back through the other side, like we've been doing all along. And then we're doing it next to this guy. And we're going to put a box right there. Now, move it around so it's comfortable, and sew through all your beads. Just reinforce. Reinforce through the top bead, through the O bead. So you're just coming around in the circle, doing the exact same thing as putting it on. You're not adding beads, you're just reinforcing. Come through that O and out that 4mm. So this is where you're going to start adding your beads, because you don't want to keep going that way. You want to go this way. So on this you're going to need a 4th O, and here are your 2 beads. You're going to have to add 2 beads. So now those of you who are proficient in right angle weave, stop now, stop the video and just, go to the next part. I'm going to separate the parts for that reason. So we only need 2 4mm, and we have 3 O beads. Don't forget, you need 3 O beads, 2 4mm. What we're going to do, this is what I did on the other video. I'm not going to do it a lot. I'm just going to do it one time, so once or twice, just so those of you who are not that familiar with it can do this. Okay, so if I hold it like that, so I kind of play with the beads a little. Gee, does it go there? Does it go there? It's going to work right there. Okay, so we're going to put those on like that. Okay, so we're going to come through this. So we have on the needle, on the thread, 3 O beads, 2 4mm. We're going to come, this is the next box below. We're going to come through that 4mm, and we're going to pull. Let's see what that does. It's going to see how that's going to give us a box. Sorry. Okay, but if you look closely, you're missing that. We want 4 of these O beads. So this is where you're going to add an O bead in now and again. So you're going to add that O bead and just go through the same box that you put on. You see? And what that does is it gives you another box, just like the others, with the 4 O beads in the middle. So again, I'm going to reinforce. I'm going to go down, go through the O I put on. I'm going to go through the 4mm. I'm going to go through this O bead. Oops. I'm going to pull. I'm going to go down my frame somewhat. Okay, I'm going to come out through that bottom 4mm. Now if you look, you shouldn't have any thread in between. When you pull it tight, you don't really see the thread. That's the thing about right angle weave. Alright, so let's see. I've got my 3 O beads here. We'll do one more. I've got an O bead, 4mm, O bead, 4mm, O bead. I'm going to drop them down, and I'm going to see where can I put these to make another box. So is that going to work? If I do that? Not sure. That looks sort of, it's going to be kind of funky, right? What if I put it there? Will it work there? Okay, not really. So let's take those out. So this is what I went through with the other bracelet. So that's why I say if you watch that first video of Starry Nights, you're going to do much better. Okay, so I'm going to come down. I'm going to take an O bead. I'm going to add my O bead in right there. Okay, and that's going to set me up. See, I've got my 4 O beads now in the center. So that's going to set me up for an O, a 4mm, an O, a 4mm, and an O. In this case, if I pull these down and I go around in a circle, that's going to give me my box. So here I'm going to go through this 4mm, pull, there's my box. So look at it and come down the bead you put on and reinforce that box, and it will pull all the beads together. So just go to go through the bead you put on, a little pull, give it a little pull. Remember, you're not going through that O bead. You don't want to see any thread. Only the beads you have just put on and the bead where you've joined them together. So you see, follow your thread path. You can actually see on this where your threads are. Okay, so here you want to go, you see the threads under there, you want to go back and you want to come out this bead. So you're always setting up, a little knot there, you're always setting up for the next box. Okay, so we've got those boxes on. Now the next box you would put on an O, 4mm, an O, 4mm, and an O. So this is really what you're putting on all the time, except the times where you're filling in a couple of an O bead here and there. So we're going to come up this box. Okay, I'm going to pull. I've lost my needle there. So pull. And see, you've got another box. But if you notice, you need to put your O bead in there. So you always have to look. Make sure you have 4 O beads there. And go around the box. So there you go. Don't go in the previous O. You're not, because if I went through that, you would see it would pull these 2 O's together. So you're just going after the thread. You're going through the thread path that you have made, and not changing anything. Okay. Go through. I like to reinforce because it just makes things a lot less floppy. So I'm going to go up. I'm going to go, now just see this through here. I'm going to go through, this is my thread path. That puts my 4 O's together. I'm going to come down. I'm going to come around. And that's going to put me in place. So you see, I put it down here. I'm going to remove my pin because I think I'm okay. So that's my thread path. Now continue on your own. If you're a little confused at this point what to do, put on the sequence. You know, if you're new to this. Okay, so this is my sequence. You have to look at it. Does it fit? No. Does it not? So then you have to take it off. I did this on the Starry Nights. Go to Starry Nights. I know I keep saying that. The first video, skip my long introduction and you know, just go to the right angle weave part. So did you see I left my O on there? So you know that at this point you're going to go, you're going to put your O on and you're going to go down this bead. So that makes number 4O. And now you can put on your grouping of 3 O beads and 2 4mm. Come on, you. Okay, so I know now I can go through this bead right there, and I have another box. See, go through. Just look at that thread path. Look at the way it's going. And if you're not going through the thread path, then you've got to take it out and go through the thread path, because it's, you know, that's right angle weave. You're following your thread all the time. Here's my thread path. See, you can even see, if you can see that little string, that little piece of thread there, that's my thread path. I'm going to follow it. I keep going around. There's my thread coming through the thread path. Okay, I'm going to go through here, going to go through the thread path, and I'm ready for my next box. Okay, so continue on in that matter, rewind, you know, try it, see how it works. If you're really having trouble, go to, as I said, Starry Nights, and you will be walked through it every step of the way. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to continue mine. You continue yours, and I will meet you back here in a few minutes. Okay, we're back. Now we've done our 2 rows of right angle weave. So here's double buds. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put on these pearls. So it's pearl time. Alright, so I want you to just see the regular flower buds, spring flower buds bracelet. Just the pearls down the center. Just going to do it down, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to come back. So I'll put a few on, get you started, and then we'll get to the next step. Alright, so I'm coming out of a 4mm bead. So let's just turn it around. So I'm coming out, let's say I'm coming out here between the 4mm and the O bead. So I'm going to take a 15mm, I'm sorry, a 15O, 4mm pearl, and a 15O. So I'm going to put on my needle. Okay, and I'm coming out here. So you see that's the sides of the box. We're only going to work with those. So I'm coming out here, I'm going to go up. So when you're coming out at the top, going up the other side. And I'm going to pull. I think I got my tail caught. Okay, so I'm going to pull. And what that should do is it should place that pearl at a diagonal, but right in the middle. You really can't see that it's a diagonal. Okay, see? So I'm coming out of the top there. I'm going to take a 15O, a pearl, and a 15O. I'm coming out of the top of that bead. Do you see? Can you see that? I know I'm a little shadowy. Of that bead. So to get it across, I'm just going to come up through the other side of the box. Now you'll see this if you want to refer back to Flower Buds, the original. Let's call this Flower Buds 2.0. just going to pull, whoops, just going to pull, and that's going to place the next pearl where it goes. Oh, that's kind of pretty. Okay, so let's take another 15-0. I wish these were Swarovski pearls. They're not. They're crappy pearls from the craft store, but that's okay. Actually, they don't look bad. So it's coming out of the top of this 4mm bead. I'm just working along this side. I'm going to go up through the one on the other side. So see how it does a diagonal? It puts it in diagonally as I said on the other bracelet, but you don't see it. It just looks like you've put a pearl in there. Okay, so I think I'll do one more, and then I'll let you leave you go on your own to the end of the bracelet, and then we'll make the turn together. Alright, so we've come down to the end of one side. And so we're coming out of this 4mm right there. So I thought it might be a good opportunity to put part or all of the clasp on. So you can either just come around and start putting your pearls on again, or we can do the clasp. So I'm going to do the clasp and just see how it goes. So when I look at the clasp on the bracelet, I think I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit longer. So if I count my beads, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I put 7 on. So I'm going to let's put 8 on. So these are 15-0s. Put on 8 15-0s, and if you look at that, this is what I'm doing, actually. And you can look at, I'll put this one out too. So that's, oh, can't see that. Okay, so that's 1, and here are here's the double. So I put on 8 beads. So here we go. I've got 8 beads, and then I'm going to take an O. Sorry, my little bead mat's a little messy. I'm going to take my big old 8mm bead instead of the 6, another O. We'll see how it works out. I'm just going to pull it down and see how the fit looks. Well, it might be okay. It's big. So let's see. Let's work on that. Okay, so then I'm going to take 3 15-0s, and I'm going to go back through the O, the 8mm, the O, and one of those little 15-0s on that first leg. I'm going to pull. Okay, so there's the first part of your clasp. So now, because I have used that 8th bead over there, I'm going to take 7 15-0s. 6, 7, and I'm going to come through the other side of the bead I came out of. Not the O beads, just the 4mm. Not the seed beads. Just that 4mm. And I'm going to pull. See how that looks. Okay. So that looks pretty good. So now let's reinforce. Just come through all your seed beads. Through the O, the crystal, the O, pull. You're up by the little picot. I want to go through that. So go 1, 2, 3, and then go down. If you can get it all in one pass, go through. All right, let's just do that last one. I have a little trouble getting it down. So we'll do that. Then we'll come down through the O bead, the big crystal, the O, pull, get your picot in place, come down through that little 15-0 that's right before the O. You might have to sort of bend it over. I might be out of it already. Yes, I did. Okay. And then come down on the other side. Let me make sure which side I came up on. I believe it was that side. Okay. So I come down this side. Okay. like so. Pull. Okay, so now you've got 2 passes on your clasp. Come around and go for a third. I think 3 is always good. I'm not going to because I want, oops, I came out of the 15-0. Don't come out of that 15-0. Come out of that, just the 4mm. Okay, I'm going to come down. So I'm coming down and I'm going to reinforce. Now you go through another time, and then I'm going to reinforce and get myself up to the other side. Okay, so I'm just going around that box with that part of the right angle weave, that last box. I'm going to come up. Okay, so it's just circling around. We did that with the bracelet. I'm going to go through the O. So see, I'm sort of following the thread path here. Through the O. And now I'm set up to do the other part of my clasp. So let's get the other part of the clasp on. Wondering why that bead is sticking out a little bit. But it may be just, I may have missed going through it, but I don't think so. Maybe it's just the crystal. Okay, so I'm going to take 8 15-0s. 8. Okay, so count them, make sure you have 8. I have 7. Let's get one more in there. Okay, we're going to take, let's find our O's, an O bead, our big Swarovski crystal, an O bead, 3 15-0s. Put this down. It's going to be interesting with these big beads. I'm going to slide that down. Okay. I'm going to go back through. Get those 3 15-0s down there. Okay. I'm going to go back down through, skip the 3 15-0s, go back through the O, the crystal, and the O. Okay, and 1 little 15-0 seed bead right there. Pull. Okay, and then we're going to take 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're going to come through our 4mm crystal. Okay, that's going to give us the other leg of our clasp. Looks pretty big right now, but we have, we have the embellishment to do. So at this point, let's reinforce. So you're going to go up all your beads, go up the big bead, the O beads, the 3 15-0 picot, which I'm having a little trouble getting through at the moment. I'm going to just flip this around so I can, alright, so I think I'm not coming out of 1. So you'll probably get this before I will. I'm having a little, okay, there we go. So we're going through the picot. Through the last part of the picot, through the O, through the 8mm, through the O, and I want you to go through that 1 bead, see it's 15-0, that's under the O bead. I'm having a little bit of issue here. Okay, here we go. Pull that through, go down the beads. Okay, hope I wasn't too much out of frame there. Okay, go back through your 4mm. Okay, so I kind of did that a little on the back, but so there's your two your clasps that are on, and you know we have a lot of embellishing to do, so they're not going to look weird. It's going to look like this. I mean, you may want to go with the smaller ones. I kind of like the bigger ones. I think they're kind of cute, but you know that's up to you. So what we're going to do now that we've embellish that again, do each one 3 times, okay? And that's going to put you in position for putting on your next set of pearls. So take a 15-0, a pearl, 4mm pearl, and a 15-0. So isn't this kind of cool how it sets you up? So you're coming out of that top bead right there where you put your clasp on. You're just going to go through the side bead. You're going to go up. So diagonally again, across. There you go. Now you're coming out of this bead here. 15-0, pearl, 15-0. So here we are, up there. Just going to go through the next one in line. I'm going to go up and pull that pearl on. Okay, so you see what's happening? We're getting our pearls on. I think I have enough thread to get one more on, and then I'll meet you at the other end. So here's a 15-0, a pearl, and a 15-0 coming out of that top. Let's see if I get my shadows out of the way. 4mm, just come up the other side of the box, right here. So you're going to be tightening things up by doing this too. Okay, so there you've got. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way, and I want to show you where we are. So this is where we are. Okay, so you've got, see if I can, I'm going to try really hard to focus in on this. Okay, that's going to work. Okay, so you've got your clasp on each side. You can kind of play with them a little bit, you know, to sort of squish them, make them look a little bit better. So that's better. There you go. So you've got the 2 ends on. So keep going down with your pearls, and I'll meet you at the other end, and we'll put the other clasp on, and then we're going to embellish the sides. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, we're back, and you're probably wondering why my bracelet shrunk. So what happened was, this part of the video, I tape it in sections, where I put the loops on. I just didn't stay in frame. So I'm going to do this I made a little piece, and I'm going to incorporate it in, and I think I'm about where we would be at this point. So what I've done is I've come out of this 4mm, I've added 8 15-0s, a 4mm crystal, and 26 15-0s. What I'm going to do is try to stay in frame. Is I'm going to skip all the 15-0s except for the one right before the 4mm and the one right after. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to keep my hand here, and I'm going to pull. Alright, so that gives us the first leg of the clasp. I'm going to take 7 15-0s. 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to come around. Let's see, am I in frame? Yes. I'm going to come around and come through that 4mm I just came out of. Okay, so pull. And that should give me my first loop. Alright, now what you need to do is you need to reinforce this, but I'm not going to, because just for time's sake, I'm just going to go around my box. So here I am, I'm following my thread path right around, and I'm coming out the middle. See, so I followed the thread path that's attached to that loop. I'm going to come through the O and through the 4mm, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on this side that I did on the other side. So I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to take a 4mm crystal, and I'm going to take 26. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 10. That's 15. It's 20. It's 26. Okay, we've got 26. We're going to skip all the beads except for the one closest to the 4mm and the one beneath it. We're going to pull. It's your first leg. Okay, take 7. Go through the 4mm, pull, and that's what you're going to have. Okay, so this is, I believe this is where we would have ended up. Now just make sure that your crystal, whatever crystal you're using, will fit through there. If you're using a smaller crystal, put less beads on. If you're using a bigger one, put more beads on, and just give it a try. But I think this works, and we will continue in a minute. Okay, we're back. So we've gotten our loops on, and just so you don't say, gee, her loops look weird, I actually put 15 O's on this loop, and 11 O's and 15 on the other. I just mixed up my loops, my beads. So just, just because I did that, just be sure that you don't do that. So here we go. This is what we have so far, all right? We have our little crystals at the end. So we're coming out of this 4mm bead. Okay, so after you've put your crystals on, your clasp on. So I'm going to take, so this is where it's going to differ a little. I'm going to fill some things in here. So right here, instead of going back and forth and doing separate, diagonal embellishment, I'm going to go around. So I'm going to take an 11O, and I'm going to go through just that O bead, and it's going to fill in that little space that is between, you see, between the 15 O's and that O bead. And then I'm going to take my, just let me check and make sure it was 4 or 3. Take my 3 15 O's, my crystal, or if you're using the drop, put the drop there, 3 15 O's, and I'm going to go through that next O bead. So let's see how this works out. This was kind of okay, so that's what you have. Personally, I don't like that, so I'm going to take that out and see how I can do this so that it comes out a little better. The 15O is the the 3mm bead is a little bit bigger, so I think what I'll do is let's go through here. Bring that. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go. I've put that little bead in, and I've come through the O and the 4mm. So now I'm going to do, let me try 2. I'm trying to get this crystal in here. So I'm going to use 2 seed beads, and I'm going to come back around and see if that works out, and come through the O. And that's how we did it in the other, the original bracelet, coming back around like that, and that might work a little bit better. Okay, so that looks good. I think that's fine. I don't think I need the third 15O, but if you're using a drop, put 3 15Os. Now this is where we're changing. So because we're not going across, we're just going to pick up an 11O. We're going to come through the O bead. It's just sort of filling the space where the O bead is, you see? And then do your 15 O's, whether you're doing 2 or 3, depending on the size of the crystal or drop you're putting in. I'm doing 2 15 O's, a drop, oops. Now don't forget, come through to the other side of the crystal. Alright, I keep forgetting that. 2 15 O's, crystal, 2 15 O's, come around the crystal and go right through the crystal and the O bead. That way it'll put you in position for putting on that next 11O, which is going to go through in between the 2 O beads and out the crystal. Okay. So let's pull that in. You see how that sits? Let me see if I can show this to you clearly. You see how it's that 11O sort of sits in between there and takes up that space between the 2 O beads. Looks kind of pretty. Okay, 2 15 O's or 3, a crystal or a drop. 2 15 O's. I'm going to come around. I'm going to go through the crystal and the O. I'm going to pull. I'm coming out the O. I'm going to take an 11O. I'm going to go through the O bead and the next crystal. I'm going to pull. Do that one more time. 2 15 O's. My 3mm crystal. 2 15 O's. I'm going to go back through the crystal and the O bead. And I'm going to pull. Alright. I'm going to take an 11O and I'm going to fit that in between the 2 O beads, come out the crystal. Alright, now do this all the way down. It's starting to look a little, we're almost there. We're getting there. So do that all the way down, either with your O beads or your crystals, and I will meet you at the end of this row, and then we'll do the last embellishment and we'll be done. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, we're back, and we've gotten the first edge done. So that's how it's going to look. Pretty good. So I want to get you through to the other side because there are a couple things that I think could be done that will make it really pretty. So I've put on my needle the last group, where I am right now putting on my needle, the last group of embellishment on this side. So I'm using 2, I'll show you, it'll come to play right now. So I'm using 2 15 O's, and I've done a crystal rather than the drop, and 2 15 O's. So I'm going to come around, just like we had done, all down the line, through the 4mm. I'm going to pull those on. So that ends my crystals. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, on one side, I'm going to come through the O bead. Just come through that O, like so. And because we put an 11O at the other side, let's put one here too, right here. So take an 11O, come through that 4mm. Okay, pull. It's just going to fill in some spaces. Okay, now come from the 4mm. So you see those 2 O beads in the middle? Come through one of them. We're going to take an 11O. We're going to go through the O, the next O, and the 4mm. Okay, and we're going to pull. Okay, so you see how I'm sort of fitting some beads and some 11Os in where we might have some spaces. So that, and it kind of straightens things out a little bit. So now we're going to do that again. We're going to take an 11O just to match the other side. We're going to go through the O and the 4mm. I'm going to put that in there like so. So now we have, 3 11 O's keeping us company there. Just going to pull my bead up, and then we're just going to do the embellishment down the other side. So I'll get started. For me it's 2 15 O's, a 3mm and 2 15 O's, or it could be 3 15 O's, a drop, and 3 15 O's. So you're going to come through your O bead, which I think I have tacked down by mistake, but I'm just going to leave it. Just, you know, I leave the mistakes in so although actually no, I don't think so. I think it's fine. It was just sort of stuck a little bit. So there's our embellishment. Remember, we put on the crystal or the drop, but then in between the two O beads, right there, we're going to put an 11O, just to take up the space, so we don't have a thread path going through there. And this is all to avoid having to go around the right angle weave 100 times. And it works out pretty well. So here, I'll do one more. So take 2 15 O's, 3mm, 2 15 O's, and I'm going to come around my frame, sorry about that, come around that 4mm and out the 15O. Got caught on my, be careful about getting caught on your clasp here or anything else. Alright, so I'll do one more 11O. So I have my 11O. I'm going just to go through the O's, just to put it in between the two O's, and I'm going to come out the 4mm. So that's going to, you know, put a bead in that space. Be careful about this. As I said, it's really easy to get stuck on something. I'll do a couple more. 2 15 O's, 4mm, 2 15 O's. I'm going to come around my 4mm and out the 15O, the O on the side. Yeah, this is getting stuck like crazy. So you probably need to hold it in a way, like hold it this way so it doesn't get stuck. Okay, so I'm holding it this way. Take an 11O, go through the O and the 4mm just to fill in that spot, like so. 2 15 O's. I lost my little 3mm. A 3mm, 2 15 O's. I'm going to come around the 4mm and out the O. Just keep your finger on it so it doesn't get stuck. So this is the repeating pattern. Then in between the O's, you've got an 11O. Pull through there, pull that through, and that takes up, you know, puts a bead in that space rather than a thread in that space. So here you have it with, let me see if I can clear that up a little bit, with both embellishments on either side. So come down to the end. I'll meet you there and we'll tie off. Okay, so I've done a little redo on the tying off as well. I just want it to look pretty. So wherever you come out on the right side, flip it over, put your needle through. Just go, so let's say I'm coming out, you know, here. I'm just going to pop my needle through to the back. Okay, now this is, you know, it's a redo of part of it, so I'm not coming particularly out of a bead, but just come through the back and let's tie off in the back. Now what I would do here is go through and try to keep on your thread path here. So like go through a 4mm. Okay, I'm not going to tie it because I've already tied it off. And what you want to do is you just want to grab a thread underneath and put a half hitch knot, and then come out let's say I grabbed this thread. You don't want to brack out these beads too much. Actually, I'm going to come up through the O. I think maybe come up through an O like that, and then tie a knot in front of your 4 millimeters. So tie a knot there, come up through there, tie a knot there, go through there, go through here, tie a knot there, go through here. Don't tie it in an O because it pulls them out. So just tie them after the O. You can even actually tie them all the way down the side if you like, or this, and do some this side or every other one. But tie it in without sort of pulling the O's. Make the knots after the O's and before the 4 millimeters. Okay, I hope that's understandable. If not, of course, I know you'll tell me, and then I'll work on it. So there's the bracelet. Okay, so there's our Shades of Gray 2.0, whatever you want to call it. I'm kind of liking Shades of Gray spring flowers. I'm going to see if I can zoom out a little bit because I want to show you all of them. So there's the one we just made. Hope that's clear. Here's the other one. Here's our single. Well, the necklace okay, I'm going to take and I'm going to try and get the gray one on my wrist, but I have to do that off camera because I'm not very good with clasps. So rather than you watch me struggle with the clasp, I'll just struggle with it for like a second on my own, and I got it on. So here we are. Here's the bracelet. Here's the back. Kind of pretty. I like the way that clasped in the back. I think that looks cool. Here's the front. Back. If you have trouble with it, I'm going to pull my arm off and take it off. If you have trouble with tying in, as I said, just don't tie a half hitch knot around your O beads, because that's what I did, and it pulled a couple of my O beads out of their sort of their crisscross shape, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep the integrity of the bracelet. So here it is. I'm going to clasp it on its own. And one of the clasp on mine was a little tight, one of them, but it's loosened up. So there you have it. There's the bracelet. Well, I know I can show it to you in a million different ways, right? Here we go. This is here's the blue one. Here's the other one. I hope you enjoyed this video. It really isn't hard. It's a lot of steps, but I think it's really fun to have the double buds. I'm loving the double buds. I mean, the single buds are great, but the double buds are great too. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you make this. I hope you post it on my Facebook page. I'm going to work on some earrings because somebody requested I work on some earrings. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much.